exclusive 10-year, 100,000-mile to lifetime warranties.
Corinne here with Lee Summit Honda, and we're the only Honda dealer with a lifetime warranty, not only on new, but also used.
Hi, folks, Blaine. Blue Springs Ford is the only Ford dealer with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new Fords.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru, and we're the only Subaru dealer with a free lifetime warranty on new and used vehicles.
Free warranty protection only from the Balderston Auto Group.
Get ready to bring Red Kingdom to Legends Field on June 6th because the Kansas City Charity Softball Game is back for year 2. Join back-to-back champions Justin Reed and Trey Smith along with their teammates for a home run derby and a softball game where the offense takes on the defense. Proceeds from the event benefit the J. Reed Indeed Foundation. That's June 6th at Legends Field. Gates open at 5 p.m. The home run derby's at 6 with the softball game starting at 7. Get your tickets at monarchsbaseball.com.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Rod & Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the Power Eye Midwest Lightning Sprints. We got a good show lined up for you today. Bob Baker is going to be joining us here in a minute, and Eric Peterson, the president of Iowa Speedway, is going to be joining us as well. And unfortunately for our final guest of the day, Wesley Smith took a hard ride last night up there at Knoxville, didn't he, Kurt?
That was a wicked ride. He was running in the top 10 when that happened in the A-Main last night. Justin Grant won the feature, right, by the way. But Wesley Smith, we booked him for the second hour, but he took quite a barrel roll ride in turn 2 last night after getting up into that cushion that was pretty gnarly last night.
Right,
it was. A couple of people up there last night. Wesley Smith was one of them, so hopefully he'll be able to join us in hour 2, but might have got his bell rung there a little bit. They talked to him after that happened, and
right,
he said he was okay, so we wish Wesley the best after that wicked ride at Knoxville last night.
Kirk, you've also got some sound from Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Brad Keselowski as well, don't you?
I was there. They had the Goodyear tire test on Tuesday and talked to all 3 of those guys after they got off the track.
Was there a little bit of rumbling going on around Iowa Speedway that the race is going to be on the bottom of the racetrack? Is there a little bit of that going on?
Yeah, I mean, we heard Christopher Bell talk about that after, he won a couple of Xfinity races up there 5 years ago. And he liked the old Iowa Speedway. He liked the roughness of it and the character of that racetrack. And he feels that this is going to be at the bottom. The other 2 drivers, Keselowski and Larson, were a little more hopeful that some rubber will be worked in up high up there. But anytime you put new pavement, they did that in turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. It's probably going to work its way to the bottom.
If there's anybody that could run at the top of that racetrack, it's going to be Kyle Larson, right?
I think so.
Right.
And who knows? If they get a lot of rubber worked in, they got an ARCA race on Friday night, Xfinity race, and all the qualifying and practice on Saturday that hopefully by the time they race on it Sunday night, there'll be enough rubber they can work it up to the high side.
Kirk, are the World of Outlaws up there that weekend?
They are,
as well?
at Knoxville.
Yeah.
Yeah, just down the road.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday nights.
I think I'm going to have to take the old trailer up there and spend some time up there.
We've got the camping spot up there. It's already bought and paid for. So
right.
Yeah, well, let's use it.
Last night, Kyle Larson, he wins at Lawrenceburg at East Bay. What'd you think? His last win was at East Bay. He picked up his last win 10 races ago. What'd you think about that, Kurt?
Well, I think what we saw is a Kyle Larson that's got his mind on sprint car racing now after he was a little distracted here over the last few weeks, driving that Indy car and trying to get a handle on all of that. Sprint car racing, I think, for a few weeks took a back seat, but it's clearly back on the front burner now, as Larson showed last night at Lawrenceburg.
Kirk, was there a moment there when you thought Parker Price Miller was going to pick up the win? Did you think that he was going to get up there and challenge Larson for the win?
I didn't think so. I think Larson was too dominant last night.
Right.
I mean, the way he passed Rico made that look pretty easy. Of course, that's a racetrack Larson is pretty comfortable running at. He's put a lot of laps around Lawrenceburg Speedway, so he knows how to get around there. No, I didn't think once Larson got out in front he was going to be challenged, and he was.
On the restarts, I thought that Parker Price Miller might have a chance because he got up to second at one point. Yeah. He got around Rico at one point, and I thought for a second there, I thought Parker Price Miller was going to challenge Kyle Larson for the win.
I just didn't. I didn't have that feeling myself. Mm-hmm. I just thought Larson was just too dominant, and he showed it last night. That's clearly the best run in a sprint car that we've seen Kyle Larson have in a long, long time. But I guess it's no coincidence coming after his double at Indy and Charlotte that his mind would be back on what he loves, and that's sprint car racing. So I expect Larson to win a lot of races coming up here this summer in a sprint car.
Right.
Don't you?
I'm not going to say that, Kirk. I'm not going to say that because he went on a long run where he didn't win a race for 10 races.
Yeah. But I think they've started to get some things figured out with that race car with Paul Silva and the rest of them. Rico didn't have his crew chief last night.
Paul Silva, in my mind, is one of the best crew chiefs in the business. Would you agree with that?
Paul Silva.
Yeah, Paul Silva.
And another great crew chief is Ricky Warner, who is Rico's crew chief.
Right.
And he's in Knoxville this weekend getting ready to be inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. So Rico was without Ricky Warner last night, but that didn't seem to matter as he still ran pretty well for second place finish.
Brad Sweet has a 12-point lead over Tyler Courtney.
Yeah. It's still early.
Still early.
Things can happen.
Brent Marks is 85 points back.
Yeah. Marks had a big win last week at Grandview.
I don't
Speedway.
think that Corey Day, I don't think Rico Abreu have a chance at winning this championship because they're 180 points plus behind the leader.
It's going to be really tough to make up that kind of ground on Brad Sweet, who won 5 straight World of Outlaws championships. So you got to favor Brad Sweet to win this championship, but still a lot of racing to go. I mean, we're just getting into the summer, and hey, looking forward to next weekend. The High Limit guys will be at our neighborhood, I-70 Speedway, next Friday and Saturday night. So that's going to be a big weekend.
Yeah, Sports Radio. Oh, let me turn my mic now. Sports Radio 10 has Facebook. If you go, they have it's a contest that the High Limits and I-70 are running right now. You enter if you're 18 years or older. When you can win 2 free passes to this upcoming event at I-70, and it's all through 810. So you go to WHB 810's Facebook page, and I think you can scroll down. I'm sure you'll find it on the homepage, but I saw the ad last night and the commercial pop up on my Facebook page. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, I'm not eligible to win because we're working here on the station. But yeah, anybody else, go to the Facebook page with WHB and sign up. Maybe you can win 2 free tickets to that. That'd be pretty cool.
Now, there should be a big field of cars next Friday and Saturday out at I-70 Speedway. I wouldn't expect Kyle Larson to be there because he's going to be racing the Cup cars out on the West Coast at Sonoma next weekend. So the logistics not going to work out for him at this particular event. He could get back and forth from St. Louis to Lawrenceburg pretty easy last night. But still, it's going to be a big field of cars that are going to be there. And one of those drivers that's going to be at I-70 next weekend is the last time the Rudine race was held at I-70.
Right.
Anthony Macri won that race, if you remember. And with this kind of a racetrack and the way that Casey Schumann is preparing the track, kind of like Port Royal, I would expect Anthony Macri to have a pretty good run.
I think the racetrack is going to be in excellent conditions next week because of Casey Schumann, his knowledge of preparing racetracks. He's widened that racetrack out, hadn't he, Kurt?
He has.
Yeah,
and it's
really has.
We're going to see some slick racetrack conditions with some sliders I expect that, don't you, after what we've seen?
Yep, I do too.
So I think a lot of people are going to be pleasantly surprised about the racetrack next weekend out at I-70.
Sheldon Haudenschild picked up the win up at Beaver Dam Raceway in Wisconsin. That was a pretty big win for him.
Well, he knows how to get around that racetrack, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got several wins up there. If he doesn't win, he's finishing second or third, but you know, we're used to seeing Sheldon Haudenschild run the high side. That's what we think of when we watch Sheldon Haudenschild drive a sprint car. But he made his move up towards the front by working the bottom of that racetrack, didn't he? I mean, he was right at the bottom of the track, and once he got up there, then he went to the high side. But he was all over that racetrack.
Hey, did you feel at one point that Carson Macedo had a chance to win that race?
Sure.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, he led quite a bit of it.
He did.
I think Sheldon he was so good on the bottom as well as the top side. Yep. And that's why he won. And big win for Sheldon Haudenschild after he's been through some rough spots here. He rolled that car 3 or 4 times here over the last couple of weeks, twice in one race here a couple of weeks ago. So I'm sure that Sheldon Haudenschild, his crew chief Ripper, and his team owner Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the Clausen Marshall team are very happy about after everything that's happened here over the last couple of weeks with the 17 car to pull off that big win last night.
Kirk, Seth Bergman picks up the win up at Rush County Speedway in La Crosse, Kansas. What'd you think about that race?
Back in his own car. 23 car last night. Not driving for Wayne Johnson anymore.
He's not driving for Wayne Johnson anymore. There was a post up on Wayne Johnson's page that said they mutually parted ways.
Interesting.
That's always interesting.
Now, how long?
To me, I think Seth Bergman is one of the best 360 sprint car drivers in the country.
Yeah.
Don't you agree with me?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, he's got a coffee business. Hard for him to be out at every race, right?
It is. So I think that's what the mutual parting of ways, that's where the family team come back into what they're doing. The family team, they've always been a family team. And he's always driven for his mom and dad.
Well, he did pretty well driving for Wayne Johnson, filling in for Wayne
I think he
since
did
he
too.
got injured down at Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. Now, how much longer is Wayne going to be out of the race car? Do we know?
I don't know that.
He didn't have his car there last night.
They're going to announce a new driver for that car.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I think Wayne's really wanting to concentrate on the Silver Crown car. Is what he's really wanting to do. Do you agree with that, Kurt?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We saw him at Belleville a couple of weeks ago.
How'd he do there?
And I forgot who drove that car, but they weren't a factor in that race.
They weren't.
I think they had some issues there. I can't remember exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Hopefully we see Wayne back in his own car here sometime soon. But big win for Seth Bergman last night, passing Matt Covington. Sam Haferteep was there last night, running in the top 3. As you were right when you said several months ago that Sam was going to go more back to 360 racing. That's what he's been doing, isn't it?
He's been doing a lot of that. He's been doing a lot of 360 racing. Do you think that Sam is going to run for the ASCS National Championship, you think?
It sure seems like it, doesn't it?
It does seem like it, doesn't it?
Has he missed a race yet? I don't know.
I don't think he's missed a race yet. Mm-mm.
So we'll keep tabs on the ASCS. But last night at Knoxville, some pretty good action last night. That curb, there was a curb up at Knoxville last night, wasn't there?
That was a gnarly curb up there last night.
It bit a couple of guys. We talked about Wesley Smith getting upside down, but
the
he wasn't the only one.
The Nerf bar come completely off his car.
Wow.
Can you believe that? You don't see Nerf bars come off the car that often.
How often do you see bumpers coming off the cars? That slide job that Chase Stockin pulled on Xavier Doney in the heat race last night knocked the bumper and damaged the the fuel tank on that car last night. We saw Nerf bars and bumpers coming off cars last night, but that curb, it even bit Brady Bacon a couple of times. Brady had gotten the lead from Justin Grant last night. Looked like he was going to do it, but the restart after that
on
crash
that restart,
by
he got him on the restart.
Wesley Smith, Justin Grant was able to get back out in front and power on to the victory last night. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. I'm looking forward to heading up there tonight. 410 sprint cars will be along with the non-wing. Last night, 360s were in action.
Did you think that when Brady got the lead that he was going to win that race?
I did.
I did too. Yeah.
Who wouldn't have thought that?
Right.
But Justin Grant had that's about as good as we've seen Justin run for a while. He's had some not so good runs in both the midget and the sprint car, and even the Silver Crown car here of late. So I'm sure Justin Grant was very happy after a pretty rough stretch of races here over the last little while to get himself up there into a victory position. Now, Brady Bacon was able to salvage a second-place spot after dropping into third and fourth-place positions. Dason Persley third, Jake Swanson, and Chase Johnson rounding out the top five last night. Big win in the 360s last night for Jamie Ball. First win in 3 years for Jamie Ball in the 360
2021.
car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beat Aaron Reitzel. Tyler Groendyke, who led a little bit early part of that race, finished in third.
That is his 10th win up there at Knoxville, and it's been 3 years since he's won a race. Jamie Ball looked really excited in victory lane, didn't he?
As well he should be.
As he should be.
Yeah, that was a big win for Jamie Ball. Now, tonight, as I mentioned, the 410s will be in action, not the 360s. So we'll see what happens tonight. Chase Randall coming up with a big victory, his first 410 victory last week, beating Aaron Reitzel. So we'll be interested to see if Chase Randall can back that up with another win tonight. He also ran his 360 car, as did Brian Brown. Brian Brown had his 360 car. He finished 8th last night. We'll see what he does in the 410 car. Pretty good car count last night. Expecting a lot of 410 cars in the field tonight as well.
Ricky Thornton Jr. picked up the win at Flow Night in America at Macon, Illinois. What'd you think about that race, Kurt?
That was a rough racetrack.
It was.
Boy, we tore up some equipment at Macon the other night.
Oh, man, that was maybe the roughest track that I've seen all year.
How about Brandon Shepard upside down on top of Garrett Albertson's car? That was quite the scene.
It was. It took them a while to get that one cleaned up.
Would it take about 2 hours to run that A-main?
It did. It took them an hour and 25 minutes, Kirk. That's how long it took to run that A-main.
That was
Can you believe
one.
that? It's only a 50-lap race, and it took an hour and 25 minutes to run that race. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable. So, anyway, it was much better race that night at Grandview with the High Limit Series. That was an outstanding race.
Jason Fager looked like he might have a chance to win that race, didn't you think?
At Macon.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
He always runs well on those Illinois racetracks. Jason Fager, especially at Fairbury, he always runs well. So, yeah, you put Jason Fager on any of those Illinois dirt tracks, he's going to do pretty well. That same night at Grandview Speedway, we saw some great racing there, did we not? At the High Limit Racing, the midweek show. Anthony, it was Brent Marks coming through, passing Tyler Courtney on the final lap to win at Grandview. What did you think of that race?
I thought it was a good race. What did you think about it?
Yeah, a lot of action at Grandview. Now, that's a track where you'd think Rico would always do well. He's got a number of wins at Grandview Speedway. He still finished in the top 3, still finished on the podium up there. But Brent Marks, that's it. I was very surprised. That was his first win ever at Grandview Speedway for Pennsylvania driver.
First
very
win
surprised
ever.
To see that. Yeah.
How about that?
And, of course, last weekend, Danny Dietrich on Sunday night won the $75,000 Bob Weichert Memorial at Port Royal Speedway. That was a pretty interesting race, too, was it not?
It was. That was an interesting race. I've got to sit back and I'm thinking about going to Knoxville tonight, Kirk. To be honest,
I am going, so we'll both head up that way.
Right.
We'll have to go in separate vehicles because I'm making a stop off on the way back. So you're going to head up there. I'm heading back through Mount Ayr on the way back.
I might take the RV up there.
There you go.
I might.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll all be up there tonight.
Maybe so.
It's going to be a big night at Knoxville, big day at Knoxville with the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame induction ceremony going on about noon. We'll be talking with Bob Baker here a little bit about it.
Right. Bob,
big list of Hall of Famers today going in.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is hosting that event today, right, Kurt?
Yeah, it's at the Dyer-Hudson building on the grounds
it is?
of the Marion County Fairgrounds. That's where the induction ceremony is going to be. They had the groundbreaking ceremony of the Dennis Allbaugh Suite Tower that's going to be going up on the east side of the main building of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. You know, a few years ago, they put up the Brian Clausen Suite Tower. On the other side is the Dennis Allbaugh Suite Tower, and they had the groundbreaking ceremony yesterday for that.
Ashton Torgerson, he picked up that Extreme Outlaw Midget Series win at what?
That was at Mattoon, Illinois, at the what is that? They called the Coe County Speedway. Ashton Torgerson, that's his third win of the year in the Extreme Outlaw Series. And that was Mattoon, Illinois' Coe County Speedway. I've never even heard of that racetrack, have you?
I've never heard of it either.
Coles County Speedway.
Where's that at, Kurt?
Mattoon, Illinois. Somewhere in Illinois. Ashton Torgerson, the winner. Jace McDermott second. Zach Dahm third. And Ryan Timms fourth. And that was after Cannon McIntosh won the night before at Doe Run Speedway in Missouri.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, Bob Baker's going to join us from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to Rod End Supply.
230, gentlemen.
10-4.
Are always true. All tires eventually need replacing, and all vehicles need servicing. Luckily for you, Big O Tires is an expert in both. They have all the name brand tires you trust. Plus, they offer top-of-the-line service in alignments, shocks, struts, batteries, brakes, and much more. They work with multiple lending partners to offer financing options tailored just for you. Visit one of their locally owned and operated locations today, or find a location online at BigOTires.com. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Race fans, Sports Radio 810 is proud to announce our partnership with Wholesale Batteries, Lewis Motorsports, Dakota Earls Motorsports, and Wyatt Burks Racing. Check out the drivers and cars each week at the USAC Wholesale Batteries Midwest Wingless Racing Association to witness the fastest cars on dirt in the Midwest, featuring MWRA drivers, Lewis Brothers, Luke Howard Jr., Parkinson, and many other top drivers.
Catch all the action this Friday and Saturday at Knoxville Raceway.
Advertisers, it's a new ball game. There's a new kid in town, and this kid comes to play. Youth Scoreboards invites you out to the ball game. Youth Scoreboards offers the newest state-of-the-art digital scoreboard advertising with your business seen by thousands all season long, numerous times per game, ready to look you up right there on the spot. You couldn't ask for a more attentive crowd of potential customers. Youth Scoreboards is now playing at a ballpark near you. If you're looking to up your game, then look us up and let's play ball. Just log on to info@youthscoreboards.com.
1 minute.
For Guaranteed Foods, ever wonder if we provide what your family wants? How about all natural USDA choice beef aged to perfection? Pork and poultry without added chemicals, seafood that hasn't been thawed and refrozen, gluten-free pasta, restaurant quality entrees, and a quality guarantee as near as your phone. Delivery by appointment too, in our temperature controlled trucks by our delivery specialists. Guaranteed Foods, the value you want at a price you can afford. GuaranteedFoods.com.
Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN Radio.
And Goldschmidt has done it again.
Paul Goldschmidt and the St. Louis Cardinals storm into Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia to go head-to-head with Bryce Harper and the Phillies.
Harper racing around third. He slides. He's safe.
The Cardinals at the Phillies on Sunday Night Baseball. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern with first pitch at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Your home for Major League Baseball. Sports Radio 810 WHP.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. And a good friend of the Racing Boys joins us now here on Track Talk. Bob Baker joins us. Bob, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing just fine, Bob. And this is a big weekend for Knoxville. You've got the Clash going on up there, and you've also got what's going on up there at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum as well.
Yep, it's a busy weekend for us. You're right. We've got our 34th induction banquet scheduled for noon today over at Dyer Hudson Hall behind the main grandstand. Yesterday we did our groundbreaking for the new Dennis Albaugh Suite Tower, and we've got USAC sprint car races last night and tonight, and then we've got a big board meeting tomorrow morning. So it's a busy weekend for us.
I think I might come up there tonight, Bob, just so you know. I think.
Good.
Yeah, we're both going to be there, Bob.
All right.
So we'll see you
Chris.
tonight.
That's great. I'm glad you're coming.
Yeah, we apologize. We're not able to make it up there for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, but let's get into who's going into the Hall of Fame tonight, man. This is a pretty stellar list. Drivers, Tracy Hines going in tonight, John Stanbro, Paul McMahon. We've got Gary Deuce Terrell, Ricky Warner, Bones Bourchier, and Roy Robbins, the very first Knoxville Nationals champion, and Bill Holder. Let's talk about some of these inductees going in today.
Well, we should probably start with Roy Robbins, since he won the first Knoxville Nationals back in 1961. And Roy is deceased, but his widow is with us, and his nephew is with us, who used to do a lot of traveling and helping with the cars. So his nephew Jerry has a lot of great stories he's going to share with us this afternoon at the induction banquet. But all of the other drivers and inductees you mentioned are all here with us. They were at the races last night having a good time with their families, and everybody's gearing up for the big induction banquet. And once you're inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, you have to, I think, if I was one of those guys, sit back and think, I'm being inducted with Steve Kinzer and A.J. Foyt and Cornelli Jones and Johnny Rutherford, and the list goes on, and it's like, that would be, I think, a little humbling if I was being inducted. That's quite an honor.
We know Ricky Warner is there because Rico didn't have he talked about not having Ricky Warner at his side last night, even though he still did pretty well. So we know Ricky Warner is all locked and loaded there too. But Bones Bourchier, let's talk about him just a little bit. He is one of the big writers of motorsports, big background in open wheel racing.
You're exactly right. Both Bones Bourchier and Bill Holder are both, forerunners in print, stories, books, spreading information way before social media and the internet was even around. They were writing articles and writing books all about open wheel racing. So it's quite an honor to have those guys and their families with us, and the stories they'll be able to share with us. So it couldn't be any better than to have all of our inductees here with us to accept in person. And I think Rico might be flying in, for Ricky's induction this afternoon, because they said we can't stay very long. We got to get back. We got racing, we got to get back to on Saturday night, but we're going to try to fly in and fly out. So I think the whole entourage of Ricky and Misha and everybody with their race teams planning on being with us.
John Stanbro is maybe one of the best midget drivers in the country. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, and also sprint car racing too. And a lot of people don't know this, but John is really a history buff, and on the side he restores race cars. And he's restored several race cars. Some of them are in California, some of them are still here in the Midwest. But he stays really busy besides his racing, which he's slowed down, I think, a little on the racing. But he's still restoring race cars, and they're beautiful works of art. They're just, you remember John Lane's cars and Mark Randall's cars that we had in the museum or at the Speedway Museum over there in Lincoln, Nebraska? I would say that they're every bit as nice as the cars those guys, restored for everybody.
We missed Paul McMahon driving a sprint car. What's he been doing lately?
He's working. I saw him at the PRI show last year in, I think it was December, and he's working for a racing parts company. And the name of the company escapes me right now, but he was in the booth, greeting people and talking to racers and showing them the parts and everything that they were selling. So he's still involved in racing. He's just not driving anymore.
And Gary Deuce Terrell, man, he was a mainstay for many, many years, decades, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He came in with his family, and his granddaughter was with him, and she was wearing a Doug Wolfgang shirt. And she said, well, it used to be my dad's. And he said, well, it used to be my dad's. And so it was a very vintage Doug Wolfgang shirt. And so I said, how are you doing? And she said, well, I'd really like to sit in that 8D car if you've got it here still. And I said, oh, yeah, it's over in the staging building. So we took the family over, and she sat in the car and just had a great time. She just hopped right in that car just like a natural. She's probably about 8 years old.
And finally, Tracy Hines, he won the Chili Bowl one year, as well as numerous championships in open wheel, both sprint cars and midgets.
Absolutely. Tracy Hines, the master of the midgets and open wheel racing, not just sprint cars and midgets, but also the Dirt Champ cars. He's won several USAC championships, and Tracy and his family are with us, and they're very excited about, the induction this afternoon at 12 o'clock. We're very fortunate to have Rib Shack, right across from our parking lot for us, and they make a wonderful dinner for everybody, which we share from 12 to 1. And then the inductions start at 1 o'clock, and for your listeners that can't be with us today up here in Knoxville, you can watch that. We're going to stream it on our Facebook page starting at, I think, 1 o'clock. So if you can't make it to Knoxville, just tune in on our museum's Facebook page at 1 o'clock. It will be streamed live on there so you can share in the festivities with us.
You had the groundbreaking, as you mentioned, of the Dennis Albaugh Suite Tower yesterday at 4 o'clock. How did that go?
It went really, really well. When we broke ground for the Brian Clausen Suite Tower, we probably had about 20 or 30 people, and I'd say we had over 100 people yesterday afternoon here for the groundbreaking for the Dennis Albaugh Suite Tower. Of course, Dennis Albaugh was with us, and I got to tell you guys, it is a little hard to get on Dennis Albaugh's schedule. He's really involved in sprint car racing now, and he's really involved in thoroughbred horse racing. And between the horse racing and the sprint car racing, we really had to work to find a date that would work to get, Dennis down here when there's not one of his cars racing here. So he was here, and he was in great spirits, and he told everybody, he goes, of all the stuff I'm involved in with the sprint cars and, racing in the Kentucky Derby with my horses, and I think one of his horses finished fourth. He said this new building, the Albaugh Suite Tower, he goes, is the thing I'm most excited about right now. He said, I just couldn't be happier. He goes, I've waited so long for a suite, and Bob kept telling me, you're on the list. And he goes, finally, I said, what do we have to do? It sounded a little bit like Richard Marshall when Richard Marshall started to help us with the Brian Clausen Suite Tower, now that I think about it. But he said, what do I got to do to get a suite? And I said, well, we're going to have to build more or something, because nobody ever leaves once they have a suite.
Right.
And so he said, well, let's talk about that. And so we did, and it's worked out really well so far. We're going to actually start to put the piers in the ground probably on the 10th, the week of the 10th. So not this coming week, but the following week. So we're moving right along, and we anticipate we'll have the building open for opening night in Knoxville mid-April next year. So whenever Knoxville decides for the opening night, that'll be the night we'll open the suites. And we're real excited to get the new suite holders in along with Dennis and have them decorate their suites and join us every race night.
Justin Grant picks up the win last night with the non-wing sprint cars. Man, that track had a gnarly curb, didn't it?
It had a gnarly curb right in front of our building in turn 2. I counted 3 cars that turned over right in front of us, and there must have been at least a dozen that were close to going over. It was just it must have been a really high curb or treacherous or tricky, because once they got up there on it, it's just like it disrupted the whole suspension of the car. And like I say, 3 of the cars got airborne, and several, over a dozen, looked like they were about ready to go over, but they didn't. So I'm sure Chris Duncan will be working on that this morning and this afternoon. He does such a great job on the racetrack.
Yeah, we booked Wesley Smith for the show the second hour. We hope he can still make it after that wild ride he took last night.
The Nerf bar come completely off of that car. You don't see that very often with the Nerf bar coming completely off of the car, do you?
No, and another testament to how high that curb was, the cushion last night in turn 2 is when we opened up this morning, we were looking at the building, and, always look out those big second-floor windows we have where you guys come up and do your shows during the Nationals, and it was just plastered with dirt. I mean, I don't think in the 16 years I've been here I've seen so much dirt on the windows as we have this morning. So it really got pretty high up there in turn 2.
Hey, Bob, I can't wait to get up there, see the Salute to Eldora Speedway. Tell us about it.
Well, when you first walk in the door, you're going to see Logan Schuchart's $1 million winning sprint car, and right next to that's Donnie Moran's $1 million winning dirt late model. So those are the first 2 cars you see. And then we've got 6 other cars that are not restorations. These are the real cars that won major events at Eldora Speedway. One of the cars is Rico's Midget from the 4 Crown Nationals. We got Jason Sides, Kings Royal winner inside there. It's just a great display. You just have to see it. Besides the videos and, of course, the driver's uniforms and all the memorabilia, we've got one of the scepters from the first 30 Kings Royals when they had a scepter, and we've got one of the Kings Royals crowns that's been loaned to us. So it's a great exhibit with ticket stubs and souvenir programs and just a lot of memorabilia. A lot of Jack Hewitt's checks, those big checks they present in Victory Lane. We tried really hard to get some of Jack Hewitt's race cars here because you think Eldora, you think Jack Hewitt, and Jack's one of our Hall of Fame inductees. And believe it or not, none of Jack Hewitt's winning race cars from Eldora are still inside the United States. They've been purchased by people outside the United States, like in Australia and New Zealand. So we could not get any of those cars as much as we wanted to get a Jack Hewitt car in here. We were not able to.
Hey, Bob, you did a lot of capital improvements to the facility up there this winter. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, for the first time since the building's been open in 1991, we closed the museum actually for a week during the Chili Bowl to resurface the floors in the museum store. So 3rd floor, 4th floor, museum store floor were all resurfaced this winter. And then for the first time since the museum opened in 1991, we repainted the entire inside of the museum. So we took all the pictures, all of the memorabilia, everything off the walls. We had to video everything and take pictures of everything, so we got everything back as soon as we were finished repainting. But there were a lot of cracks and, different things in the walls after all those years, displaying memorabilia. And it took a good 2 coats of paint to paint it, but it looks wonderful now.
Yep.
I hear record ticket sales for the Corvette. Is that in the window up there for us to take a look at?
The Corvette is in the window. It's a beautiful torch red Z06 convertible. It's got the Z07 performance package, the carbon fiber package. It's the most expensive Corvette we've given away. We've given away 6 Corvettes, and the best price, the best deal we could get on this one was $233,000.
Holy
cow. It's not a cheapy Corvette. It's the 3LZ with every option on it you can think of, and it is beautiful. I mean, to tell you, it is really, everybody that looks at it, they say, I've got to try to win this. This is really something. So it's going to be quite a drawing when we do it in August. We have the drawing on August the 17th, and the last time you can purchase tickets is on August 10th. They make you wait a week, before they do the drawing now, so that all the tickets get settled in the computer. And so we're real excited, for August 10th, the last day people can purchase tickets, and of course the drawing the next week on the 17th to see who's going to win the Corvette. That's always fun, and it's hard to believe that this is the 6th Corvette we'll be giving away. It seems like not very long ago we were doing the first Corvette.
Right. Let's talk about the sprint car as well. Let's talk about that, and people can buy tickets for the sprint car as well, right?
Yep. For the sprint car and the Corvette, on the sprint car, you just have to go to winasprintcar.com. It's all online, and we couldn't do that without all of the builders and manufacturers in sprint car racing that donate all the pieces and parts for the race car. Of course, the Triple X providing the car, building the car, Al Parker Racing Engines for building and dynoing the 410 engine. We couldn't do it without all the people that supply the parts for both Triple X and for Al Parker to build the car. We give this sprint car away this year in December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. And believe it or not, it's car number 15, and everybody says, why did you paint it like Donnie Schatz's car? We didn't intentionally paint it like Donnie Schatz's car, but it's number 15th because it will be the 15th car we've given away. And we give away a sprint car every other year, so the program has been going on for 30 years, helping fund the museum and keep our doors open for people to come in and learn more about sprint car racing.
Yeah, Bob, we can't thank you for taking the time to join us here on Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We can't thank you enough for doing so, and we look forward to always representing the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum right here on Track Talk and on Mostly Motorsports as well.
Well, thank you for having us on the show, and I want to give a shout-out and a special thanks to Bob Douglas with Rod End Supply for sponsoring your program for all these years and being such a strong supporter of sprint car racing. Thank you, Bob.
He is.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Bob,
look forward to seeing you up there tonight, Bob.
All right, we'll see you guys in Knoxville. Again, if you can't make it, tune in for the banquet at 1 o'clock, and it's going to be on our museum's Facebook page, live stream.
We will be watching.
All right, Bob, we'll be watching. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, bud.
Have a great trip up. Safe travels.
All right. There you have it, Bob Baker from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Man, they've done a lot of work up there at the Hall of Fame, haven't they?
Yeah, I can't wait to get up there and check out all the changes, updates to the Hall of Fame and the salute to Eldora Speedway. It's going to be a fun night up at Knoxville.
Right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the president of Iowa Speedway, Eric Peterson, is going to join us next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Eric Peterson joins us next right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. Get her done!
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more,
2:30, gentlemen.
10-4.
Chained to the Sky, the science of birds, past and future. A free exhibition exploring the story of our relationship with birds from past to present day. For millennia, birds have been deified, celebrated in art and song, hunted, mass-produced for food and feathers, and for a great many, sent to extinction. Open now through July 13th, Chained to the Sky tells the story of the human relationship with the avian world, the threats birds face today, and what we can do to protect them. Learn more at lindahall.org.
I'm McCall from Lee Summit Subaru, and we're committed to helping our community through the Subaru Love Promise, like our commitment to Hillcrest Transitional Housing to help solve homelessness. Lee Summit Subaru also sponsors several pet adoption clinics, like Midwest Animal Rescue, and events each year, such as Dogtoberfest. It's all part of the Subaru Love Promise, and we're committed to helping our community fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. LeeSummitSubaru.com.
The Balderston Auto Group with exclusive 10-year, 100,000-mile to lifetime warranties.
Corinne here with Lee Summit Honda, and we're the only Honda dealer with a lifetime warranty, not only on new, but also used.
Hi, folks, Blaine. Blue Springs Ford is the only Ford dealer with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new Fords.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru, and we're the only Subaru dealer with a free lifetime warranty on new and used vehicles.
Free warranty protection only from the Balderston Auto Group.
1 minute, gentlemen.
Seltzer is the perfect pairing for your fireworks celebration, and Quirk is going to help you put on the show. Visit participating liquor stores like Gomer's, Brown Bag Liquors, Bubble Liquor Stores, and Macadoodles. Scan the code on the Quirk displays for your chance to win a $500 fireworks package from Fireworks Mania Superstore. Quirk Hard Seltzers, they're the bomb.
Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City, Missouri. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, it's Lebo here for Relay for Life. Our community is really coming together as one to raise funds for the American Cancer Society, to fund brilliant cancer research breakthroughs and help save lives. Free patient and caregiver support 24/7 by phone, video chat, or online. Even advocating to make cancer a top priority for our local and state governments. And the Relay is so much fun. It celebrates people who have been touched by cancer, remembers loved ones lost, and gives everyone a chance to fight back against every cancer as we join together for every life. Visit relayforlife.org/KC Metro and join us on June 8th for Relay for Life in the Metro.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Eric Peterson has not called in.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So hopefully we'll hear from him. He's calling us, the president of Iowa Speedway. So
we've got some sound to run, don't we, Kurt?
Yeah, well, I was up there for the Goodyear tire test on Tuesday, and 3 drivers were there representing all the manufacturers. You had Christopher Bell for Toyota, Brad Keselowski for Ford, and Kyle Larson for Chevrolet, taking laps around Iowa Speedway. They put some new pavement down in 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and talked to Brad Keselowski about all of that on Tuesday, and here's what he had to say about Iowa Speedway getting a cup race for the very first time.
A lot with the track surface. You know, it used to have this really wicked tunnel bump down in 1 and 2, and now that's been kind of taken care of, which is nice because the next-gen car doesn't really play well with bumps, kind of like an Indy car. But I think it'll make the car more raceable around others. It just has an identity to it that I'll never forget. And winning here the inaugural weekend of the Xfinity Series, which was NASCAR Junior Series in 2009, was one of the highlights of my career. Full crowd, and I felt like I'd really made it that weekend. It was very special. I had told people for a long time that I thought Iowa was a good candidate for a Cup Series race. And I got a call from the NASCAR marketing department saying that they wanted me to go do the announcement with the governor. And that was, it's like, wait a minute, what? And, sometimes you think you're getting pranked, right? And but I when it was obvious it wasn't a prank, I just thought, well, good for them. There's a lot of dues that have been paid by this track and the community, and I'm glad to see that all pay off for them.
Brad Keselowski, 3 Xfinity Series wins there. As he pointed out, he won the inaugural Xfinity Series race back in 2009, and he's won a couple of other races up there. Another multiple winner in the Xfinity Series up there is Christopher Bell. Of course, he's coming off that rain-shortened win at the Coke 600 on Sunday. 2 days later, he was taking laps around Iowa Speedway, and he won there in 2018 and 2019, and he liked the old Iowa Speedway. Here's Christopher Bell.
I was bummed that they didn't get a race earlier. I know everybody in the industry was super excited about having a cup race here, so it's been a long time coming. I loved the old track, and I love Iowa Speedway. It's still Iowa Speedway, so that's good, but I really wish that the cup cars would have got to experience the old pavement for sure. Yeah, I think it was successful. Whenever we showed up, the track was extremely slippery, and we were just sliding around all over the place. And by the end of the day, it took a lot of rubber, got a lot of grip. The speeds were up tremendously from when we started. So I think it was a productive day from NASCAR standpoint, and I think we'll come back here and not have any issues race time.
The most vocal of the 3 drivers about how that's going to be at the bottom of the racetrack. Of course, any new paved job, especially when they paved it at the bottom of turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, that the groove is probably going to be at the bottom of the racetrack.
Are they going to add any grandstands up there for that race?
They added, there's like a temporary grandstand that Hy-Vee put up for their IndyCar weekend down there, but it's basically the same grandstand that I've always seen up there. So it's sold out, by the way, for both Saturday and Sunday. But the size of the grandstand's not near as big as Kansas Speedway. I'll just put it that way. But here's the thing, Scott. There's only like 300 acres of ground there. So even if you put in more grandstands, where are you going to park the extra cars?
Right.
There's not
parking.
a whole lot of space
Right.
there to park extra cars there if you put up more grandstands. So the infrastructure to the facility is not as big, not nearly as big as Kansas Speedway.
Well,
so
what does that
they're
place
sold
hold?
out for both Saturday and Sunday.
How many seats is there up there, Kirk?
I don't know.
Is it about
I'd
30,000?
say 25 or 30,000.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
What's Kansas Speedway? 75,000?
75,000.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
tells you right there that it's and one of the reasons why we haven't seen a cup race there up till now
Right.
is because the infrastructure just wasn't as big as a lot of these places that host Cup Series tracks. But let's look at it this way, Scott. This weekend, St. Louis.
Right.
They don't have a lot of ground there either, do they? That's not a big footprint for a racetrack at Gateway.
And Gateway is one of the most difficult tracks to exit out of.
I think they improved that.
They
Since
helped
you
it
and
a
I
little
were
bit,
there.
but it's still not.
But it's still,
You're
it's-
downtown.
That's not on a big piece of property either. So
It says 30,000 is what iowaspeedway.com is saying, is what the Wikipedia is saying. It says 30,
that sounds about
30,000 seats.
And it's sold out for both Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to get up there, you're going to have to go Friday for the ARCA race. Now, all the series will be on the track on Friday, I'm told. All the Cup, Xfinity, and ARCA will all be on the track on Friday. So if you don't already had tickets, go Friday up there, and you'll see everybody on the track at the same time. Now, the Xfinity race is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, and the Cup race doesn't start till 6 o'clock on Sunday night up there.
It's going to be a
night
night
race?
A night race.
Yeah, and so here, I'm thinking
The weekend of June 14th through 16th we're talking about.
Yeah, I think they're going to probably put some of that tire compound stuff or whatever. What is that sticky stuff down up on the top? Once they realize, they'll put a little bit of that. Right. It'll be at night.
Some of the resin.
That resin stuff, and I think we're going to have a good race.
Yeah, I
still.
think it'll be fine.
I think they're still going to have a good race. It'll be a night race, so that'll help things out.
Kirk, you got a little soundbite from Kyle Larson as
I do.
well. don't you?
Asked him, of course, this is just a couple of days after he experienced the Indy 500 Coke 600 double. It really wasn't a double because when he got back to Charlotte, the race is called. He never did climb in the car to race on Sunday night at Charlotte, but he did the full 500 miles at Indy. And here's Kyle Larson's impressions 2 days after doing the Indy 500.
I had a fantastic
3 minutes,
experience
gentlemen.
there from every day of practice and qualifying, as you mentioned, and I mean even the race day is cool to look around and get to race in front of 350,000 people, have all my friends and family there and all that, and a lot of people from Hendrick Automotive Group and some from Hendrick Motorsports, and then the fan support was incredible. So just didn't quite to get into the right mood to be able to enjoy it on Sunday, but up until then, it was crazy. I felt like the whole world, whoever may have been paying attention in the Indy 500 was rooting for me, so that felt really good.
I asked Kyle if he's going to race the Knoxville Nationals this year, and he said that's going to be really tough this year because the Cup Series is in Richmond that weekend in August, and the logistics of it, flying back and forth from the East Coast back to Knoxville, may be pretty hard. So I'm not sure we're going to see Kyle at the Knoxville Nationals, but he did say that he might, not 100% sure, be at Knoxville the weekend of the Cup Series at Iowa Speedway, that the 57 car quite possibly will
Paul
be
Silva
at
car.
Knoxville.
Yeah.
Running the World of Outlaws race the weekend of the 14th and the 15th.
I think that Paul Silva, I know I've said this earlier in the show, but I think Paul Silva is one of the best crew chiefs in the country. Would you agree with that?
Great guy, too.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've known Paul Silva for a lot of years. Since 2009, I met Paul Silva.
He and Shane Stewart were an item there for, they were together for a long time.
They won the championship in 2009 and 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won like 5 360 Knoxville Nationals up there with Shane Stewart.
Yep.
Yeah, Paul Silva's a great guy. So they seem, after last night, they seem to have it working now with Kyle Larson in the 57 car.
Right. Well, I can't thank everybody enough for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We've had a great show. I'm sorry that hour number 2 is exclusively on our Facebook page and YouTube page as well.
And RacingBoys.com.
And you can watch it on RacingBoys.com as well.
Hey, I just saw a new feature on our Facebook page. If we're live now, when we're live, anytime on our Facebook page, there's a highlight around our profile page, and that kind of lets you know that there's a live event going on. So if you're not subscribed, do so now. And then if you aren't, like you said, you can see us anytime we're going live.
And we are back on Monday. We took a week off for Mostly Motorsports. If you tried to tune in and we weren't there, we're going to be back every Monday, beginning this Monday at 12 noon live, and podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast. Mostly Motorsports returns on Monday.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank our guest, Bob Baker, and hopefully we'll get a hold of Eric Peterson here a little bit later in the show. And hopefully Wesley Smith will join us as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We'll see you next week right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply.
Thank you much. I'll see you next week, okay?
All right, brother. Have a good week.
You too.
Climbing or going off-road, Rod End Supply is an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I got hurt in a car wreck, but I don't know what lawyer to hire. Which one should I choose? Choose
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply is an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. we can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. Get her done!
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the Power Eye Midwest Lightning Sprints. Joining us now on the show is the president of Iowa Speedway, Eric Peterson, joining us now. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Thank you.
Hey, man, we love having you on. Let's talk about the seating up there. There's a little confusion on our part. Is there 30,000 seats up there?
So we've got 25,000 seats in the grandstands, and then we've got camping surrounding the track with our RV hill, and then we have some campgrounds, secondary campgrounds out there. And then Hy-Vee, we're working with Hy-Vee really closely to build that structure over in Turn 1 for some additional hospitality.
And it's sold out, right? Saturday and Sunday. That's awesome.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday sold out. We've got limited tickets left, about 1,000 tickets left. So if you haven't had a chance to purchase some yet, I'd definitely encourage you to get to iowaspeedway.com and come out on Friday.
Man, it's going to be a big deal for the Cup Series to be up there at Iowa Speedway. This is the first time they're going to be up there. You've got to be really amped up about it, right?
Oh, the whole team is amped up, and it was really exciting this past week seeing a couple Cup guys coming out for the tire test. And, we're working around the clock with our team to make sure that the facility is ready to go. We're very confident that in 2 weeks that not only from a competition standpoint, but just from hosting all the fans that are coming out, that the facility is going to be top-notch and everything will be ready. So the excitement level is incredibly high. Everybody's working really hard to make this happen.
You know, I was interested. I was up there, Eric, saw you up there on Tuesday, and it's interested. You read all the commentary, mostly from people who weren't there. I was there. I saw it for my own two eyes. I think the pavement, that the new pavement that you put down in 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 looks awesome. And from what I gathered from the drivers, the bump in the tunnel was the biggest issue. That's all been taken away now. I think this is going to be a great racetrack. I think this is a necessary thing that had to be done up there, right?
It did. You know, it's a combination of, look, we've got a team in Daytona, our design and development team, that this is what they focus on all the time. These guys are the experts here, and the combination of driver feedback, team feedback, and then what they do and we do at other tracks, really a lot of thought goes into this, and a lot of research and a lot of planning. So I definitely agree with you. Watching those guys out there on track this week, I mean, it felt good. And watching the speeds out there, you know, we were talking earlier this week, you and I, about just the sheer excitement and how many folks were out there ready to see this race come to life.
Now, the racetrack itself is, a lot of people have compared it to Richmond, but it's a bigger racetrack than Richmond. It's configured just a little bit different.
7/8 of a mile, right?
7/8 mile, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's exactly right. So it's such a unique length of track, that 7/8 mile. It's the only one. So I feel like you're going to see some really fast speeds going on here Friday, Saturday, and of course Sunday for that NASCAR Cup Series.
And a lot of these drivers have already been around. It's amazing the number of Cup drivers that are coming in here that have already won at this racetrack. We saw two of them the other day. Brad Keselowski won the very first Xfinity race there in 2009. He's won 3 there, and Christopher Bell has won a couple of races, and Kyle Larson's turned many laps around Iowa Speedway. It's amazing for first time for the Cup Series how many laps most of these guys have already had around this racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've always heard really good feedback from the drivers on the track itself. So, you know, as our fans are coming out and they're walking around the facility, whether it's in the Newton Club, out in the Midway display, as they're interacting with all the merch haulers, all of our companies that are activating, this is kind of a peek behind the curtains, but I'd like to encourage all those fans to look, because we're doing really an homage to all of those past drivers that have been out there. We've got some photos up. We'll have a lot of interaction with those past winners out in the Midway, down in the infield prior to that. So it'll be really cool for fans to see that, not only the past winners, but some of the drivers that are coming out there and racing for the first time.
What is the number one thing that you want to get conveyed to the fans that are out there that are wanting to come to the Speedway?
Well, I think from a scheduling standpoint is just make sure that you make plans to come early. And, you know, we feel like we're in a really good spot working with traffic, parking, things of that nature. But look, we have everybody coming out. It's a sold-out event. So make sure you come out early. And I promise if you come out early, there will not be a lack of things to do. There's start to finish. You'll have plenty to do for those fans that are coming out there. So I'd encourage fans, don't wait till the last minute. Come out and really make this an experience. Really make it a memorable experience, especially if you're bringing your families out.
Now, this Cup race is at night, right? It starts at 6 o'clock on a Sunday night. What all of the activities are you going to have out there throughout the day leading up to the green flag at 6 o'clock on Sunday night?
Yeah, so right after the gates open, even prior to the gates open, we have the merchandise haulers. Make sure that you arrive early, get your gear, get your T-shirts, get your hats, get your flags, favorite driver. Come out there, and then that, what we always call the Midway display, but where all of our partners are activating. A couple examples would be Iowa Corn, Chevrolet, Hy-Vee. I mean, the list goes on. That could take up a good chunk, you know. That could be 2 hours of really fun interaction out there. And then if you purchased a fan walk ticket, you're able to go down to the track prior to the race, or down on the track, rather, and maybe sign your name on the start-finish line, stay down there for some fun stuff that's going on the driver intro stage. I mean, we got trams that are taking people all over the facility, so it's easy to get from point A to point B. And driver intros, we have concerts, we have DJs, you know, on and on and on. But it's all listed out on that schedule on iowaspeedway.com. But also when a fan arrives, they can go to one of our guest service booths, and all that information will be there.
What about camping up there? I know a lot of people want to camp up there at the Iowa Speedway. So how do they go about that?
Yeah, our camping is currently sold out, so we've got that all dialed in. But campers will come out, start loading in on Thursday, both on RV Hill and then those secondary campgrounds that we have. If any campers that have purchased the spot have any questions, feel free to call either your rep that you've been working with or call us directly at Iowa Speedway. We're happy to help walk you through any questions that you have. The campgrounds are going to be a very fun place to be on race weekend.
Now, since it's sold out both Saturday and Sunday, and you pointed this out, there's still limited tickets for Friday. You can see the Cup cars on the track on Friday in addition to the Xfinity, and you can see all three series on the track on Friday for those who want to come out that day?
Yeah, absolutely. So Xfinity has practice and Cup has practice as well on Friday. So if you want to be able to come out Friday and see the first time that the NASCAR Cup Series drivers will be on track, I really encourage folks to do that.
Let's talk about the relationship you have with and Brad Keselowski talked about this, why he's so excited about coming to Iowa Speedway, that the community flavor of having this event come to this is a big deal for the state of Iowa, maybe more so than going into larger metropolitan areas. When you've got the cooperation from the local government, the community, the feel of it, that the buzz is being created of such a major thing coming to the state of Iowa. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's on a micro level and a macro level. So we, starting with the city of Newton, the overwhelming support from the city council, from the mayor, from the community in general has been really positive. And I'll give you a very specific example. We are working with the city of Newton. They're helping out with guest services on race weekend. So great ambassador for the state of Iowa, for the city of Newton, and then NASCAR and Iowa Speedway in general. And we want to make sure that when our fans are coming out, they're having really good interactions with our staff out there and very helpful interactions. And Newton has provided folks graciously to be able to do that for us. So we're very thankful. And then, of course, on the statewide level, I mean, we couldn't do this without the support from the Capitol and the governor, and just the entire political landscape on that. And we are deeply appreciative of that. And, in addition, all of the Iowa-specific sponsors as well. Iowa Corn Growers Association, Hy-Vee, Iowa Lottery, Prairie Meadows. And I think as almost more important than anything is just the fans' support on this. Is Iowa really showed that racing is going to be popular in the Midwest, and they did so by making sure this was a sellout within a couple days of the announcement.
Hey, I don't know if you know it, but Kirk's nickname is Corn.
Nah.
Just so you know.
That's a long time.
That's good to know.
He grew up on a farm that they've got a lot of acreage up there in Mount Ayr, Iowa, and his nickname is Corn, just so you know that.
Well,
then he's going to be fit right in because Iowa Corn Growers Association will have a lot of activations that involve corn, and then a few surprises as we wrap up that race in Victory Lane on Sunday.
Well, I can say, being a born and bred Iowan, we are proud people, and to have an event like this coming to the state of Iowa, this is going to be a long-term deal, right? I mean, this is not just coming in here for a little while. You plan on doing this for a long time, right?
Well, I certainly plan on doing it. So, it's going to be, with this sellout and the overwhelming support, I certainly feel really confident about it. Of course, all the schedules are set annually, but look, with the overwhelming support that we've had so far, I mean, we set ourselves up in a pretty good position.
Right.
Getting back to the paving job. Now, I understand that you're not done with work on the racetrack. This is just the start of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we look at the future, we definitely are looking at a couple different projects. But as it sits right now, our main goal is 2 weeks from now to have this place ready to go in a top-tier facility for the NASCAR Cup Series.
Is there any thought of bringing back trucks in the future at Iowa Speedway?
There may be. That's really done. Those decisions are made, and not particularly at Iowa Speedway, but the Truck Series is certainly one of my favorite to watch. So, would love to entertain that idea. But look, the schedule changes every single year, and we're open to anything at Iowa Speedway.
Yep, that's it. Well, Eric, we really appreciate you coming on the show and look forward to getting up there and checking the big weekend out. It's going to be fun. It's It's going to be a blast up there for all 3 days. June 14th through the 16th is
Right.
when it all happens at Iowa Speedway, and you're doing a great job up there and looking forward to the big weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. And again, thank you to all the fans that are planning to come out. We are so excited and ready to host this tremendous event. So look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you.
There you have it. Eric Peterson joining us here on the president of Iowa Speedway. Kirk is a proud Iowan, isn't he?
That's right. He's been spending more time up there. And
He's spending a lot of time up there at the farm.
he's got a lot of miles on his car. He's been putting some miles.
Too
on.
many miles on.
I know you have been.
Hey,
not as many as the miles on my car.
Now, you and I, we're going to be at the North Campground there at Knoxville back and forth because got the World of Outlaws here Friday and Saturday night.
I'm thinking about leaving the RV up there.
You are. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about leaving it up there and driving the truck back.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can do that. So that would be today you're thinking about taking it up there?
I'm thinking about going up there today.
Just leaving it up there?
Yeah, just leaving it up there.
So we got the World of Outlaws Friday and Saturday night at Knoxville that weekend. We've got the ARCA race Friday night at Iowa Speedway. Saturday, the Xfinity race at 4 o'clock. Cup race Sunday night at 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a big weekend up there.
It's going to be a huge weekend.
And Kyle Larson
Do you think
probably
there's
be
going to be
racing
any
both
conflict
places.
with the World of Outlaws running at Knoxville? Do you think there's going to be a little?
That'll be a different effect than, say, Lakeside and Kansas Speedway. I think
Why do you say
Knoxville's
that?
got its own. Well, first of all, Knoxville's got its own built-in sprint car fan base, and the fact that Iowa Speedway is sold out for Saturday and Sunday, that means not everybody's going to be able to go to the Cup race,
Right.
but they can still go to the sprint car races at Knoxville.
Right.
So you can still, I think it's going to be a win-win for both Knoxville and Iowa Speedway.
Yep.
That's what I think. And here's the other thing. There is one conflict. The ARCA race at Iowa Speedway is going on at the same time they're racing at Knoxville. I don't necessarily like to see that, but I don't think it's going to have an impact on either venue.
Listen, there's a lot of people that are kind of turned off by ARCA, to be honest with you, because they don't have the quantity of cars that they used to have. Back in the day, when I raced back in the day with my ARCA car, we had 50 to 60 race cars at every race.
And the cars now are, it's a lot different situation
cars
now.
COT cars.
Yeah, the COT car. But the cars were similar to what they run in the Cup Series back when they raced the ARCA Series. Now you got the next-gen car in the Cup Series. The cars are not even close to, so that's why you don't see the developmental
The problem
drivers
is
that are
with
like you used to.
the ARCA cars nowadays is they cut the front stubs off of these cars.
Yeah.
And they have to reattach a front stub to the car because a lot of the technology, they don't want it getting out there to the general public. They don't want that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And NASCAR owns ARCA now, right? Where
They
it used
do.
to be
Yeah.
a separate entity, so NASCAR's kind of working it into their feeder program. So it's a lot different than when you were racing the ARCA Series back in the day.
Yep. That was back a long time ago, 2003, 4, 5, and 6. That's the years that I raced it.
And it was expensive then. What's
the
difference in the cost of it then compared to now if you were wanting to do the same thing?
I would say that the cost is
astronomically higher.
Been driven up a lot because you got to replace the front stubs on those cars.
And it was expensive when you were doing it.
Right. It cost me $30,000 a race to run that car.
And how much a race now would it cost you to do the same thing?
Oh, it'd probably cost somewhere.
Double?
Probably, I would say probably 50, 60 grand.
Yeah.
50, 60.
So almost double than what you were spending.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Fuel prices have gone up. Everything is the whole expenses of doing it.
But we had some success with our ARCA car. We did.
You did.
We were always fast, weren't we, Kirk?
Yeah, you had good people working for you.
Right. I had J.J. Sonnevelt working for me, taking care of the car. Trent Owens. Bob Begley.
Your engine program was solid?
We had a good – I rented my motors. I had Trent Owens as the crew chief, and Trent Owens is now a Cup crew chief for the 31 car, just so you know.
Yeah. For Daniel Hemrick.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got Wesley Smith. He's going to get on with us here in a minute.
He had an eventful night last night.
Oh, my gosh. I was so glad to see him get out of that race car.
He had a fast race car, though. He was running in the top 10 when that happened.
He was running
in
the top
guys.
10. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Wesley Smith won that war race at Lake Ozark Speedway a week ago on Saturday. They got rained out, unfortunately, on Sunday night, so he only raced one night at Lake Ozark last weekend.
All right, let's bring him on right now. Hey, listen, Wesley.
Yes, sir.
This is Scott Traylor, and listen, bud, I was a little worried about you last night. Did that ding you up a little bit last night?
Yeah, I bit my tongue pretty good and beat up my right shoulder. But other than that, it was a barrel roll on the tires, so the tires took most of the blow, I feel like.
It's not very often where you see a Nerf bar getting completely ripped off the car.
Yeah, I was. It must have been the one that I stuck in the rut and ended up tipping me over. But the rest of it, we just got the rest of it off the car. It was pretty much tore off. It's clean off. So
yeah, but
was it that curb that got you last night?
Yeah. There, right before you got really into 2, there was just a big old dip up there. I guess the track was just super soft or something, and there was a big old dip right there in the cushion, and I was getting through it, I thought, better than a few guys, and I just had a pretty good slider battle with KTJ the lap before, and I was like, man, I'm feeling good, and the confidence got up, and it bit me, so.
Hey, listen, you were running in the top 10. You had to be proud of running in the top 10 at that point during the race. You were pretty...
Yeah. That's usually the goal with USAC. You kind of got to realign your goals and have some realistic goals for a USAC show, especially at a big track like Knoxville. It's kind of hard to race on two in a non-wing car for me anyway. But we were kind of there with another pack, and I think if things would have fallen my way, I might have been a 6th or 7th place car, which would have been fantastic for me. I'd have been stoked with that. But the chassis seems okay. We got enough parts to put it back together. We're gonna try again tonight, I guess.
Did it bend the frame?
Look, a few dings, nicks in it. Nothing that really warrants building a new car entirely. Maybe put some sleeves over it and call it good, but it's good enough to get through the night.
Well, that's good to hear. Happy to hear that you're going to be able to race tonight after all of that.
Yes, sir. We're happy to hear it too.
Is that the car that you've won the last 3 races in?
Yes, that's the car we've been doing really well in, and it was pretty good last night. We probably could have qualified a little better if I hadn't made a mistake in 3. My second lap, I didn't feel like was very fast, and it ended up being my faster of the 2, and I made a big mistake in 3. So we probably could have been a top 5 car last night if things had fallen completely our way, but they just didn't. And when Knoxville bites, it bites hard, and it got me last night.
Well, we had Bob Baker on from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, and you flipped right in front of the Hall of Fame, and that's never good when you flip right in front of the Hall of Fame, is it?
Yeah, everybody's got their phones out taking pictures and everything. A couple of my buddies were over there and sent me pictures, and it's cool when something like this happens. Everybody comes over, and I got plenty of help, but everybody offers to help and offers parts and offers time and offers money, and everybody sends you pictures and says, glad you're okay, praying for you. So it's pretty cool that there's a support group like that in racing.
So I know you're busy up there. How close are you to get this thing back together again? You still got a lot of work to do?
No, like I said, sprint cars are pretty bolt and go, but might have to buy a Nerf bar or 2 when we get to the track. But other than that, we've got everything on our trailer. We're getting ready to wash it. I'm going to square it. Maybe need a torsion bar. It's one of those deals. As long as nothing's cracked, I think we'll be in good shape.
But the look, we're watching the video right now, and when you climb out, you have that. We can almost tell what you're thinking. You look around like, where's the Nerf bar at? I mean, you can tell that's
I'm looking back at the trail of parts I've left on the track, and And then in the ambulance, I'm like leaning out the window. The guy's trying to talk to me, and I'm like, I turn around and I'm like, I don't think it's bent. And yeah,
I can get back in.
After that, but
did they make you go to the ambulance?
Yeah, they made me go to the ambulance, but the ambulance took me right back to my trailer, and he checked my eyes and asked me. He said, if anything's wrong, even tomorrow or something, just let me know. Come get me. And I'm feeling good. They did a good job getting me out of the car. You know, they're drivers usually more worried about the car than themselves when you get in a wreck like that. And
right.
They were definitely more worried about me, which is a nice balance. So they were just keeping me in the car, asking me questions, making sure I was okay. So
the good thing is that you didn't damage the car that you've been winning all those races in.
Right, exactly. So we're going to keep plugging away at it. We're in Pella at the car wash, getting it tore down and put back together. Now we got to do maintenance and then some. So we just tries to work, but we'll get it done.
There's no better safety crew in America than they have up at Knoxville, is there?
Oh no, they were there pretty quick, and you know, they just on top of things up there. You know, even down to the push trucks, push four-wheelers, the safety crew, they just got it figured out.
All right, let's talk about happier times. Lake Ozark Speedway, you only got to run one night over there, but the night you ran, you did really well. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I said in my interview that, you know, I wish there were more cars there, but it was still me and Xavier Doney and Wyatt Burks and both the Wagner boys were there. I mean, it was still a stout field, and, you know, a couple of the guys that I really wanted to race with ended up having some issues, but, you know, it's weird that even with the 410 Wing Series, they have 8 cars one weekend and 34 the next weekend, and we go from having 15 to 20 cars for 2 nights to 7 cars or 8 cars. You know, I don't know what's up with the car count, but still it's hard to tell the fans that it's still a hard-fought race, and you still out there, you know, even though there's only 8 cars starting, you're still out there pedaling for all you're worth because it's a good 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 cars you're racing against. But I don't think it discounted from how fast our car was that night, and it's my first win at Lake Ozark in like 2 or 3 years, so that was nice to get that one back under me. So it was a good night, yeah.
What's it like to have the Helm, the old man Helm, joining you on your team?
Old man, he's not my age.
He you know, he brings a wealth of experience with him. He's pretty level-headed when it comes to this stuff. Me and my dad getting a lot of fights about, you know, when we tear up cars and stuff like that. You know, my dad would have much rather had a check from USAC for 6th or 7th or 8th place than a tore up race car, but
right.
I'd have much rather had a podium. You know, I'm not doing it for the money, but that's car owner things. But you know, John, after the race, he's like, you know, that's part of it. You know, he said we're gonna have to just get back on, get our heads in the right spot. And he's been doing it a while, and he's tore up a lot more stuff than I have because he's been doing it a lot longer, and he knows the deal, and he's seen worse, and he's seen a lot easier. So he's pretty much game for anything. I got to go back to the hotel and wake him up now, I think.
Here a couple of weeks back, you won at Electric City Speedway. I don't like the name. I like Butler better.
Right.
How much has that racetrack changed over the year? I know it was shuttered for a while. Now it's back.
Mm-hmm.
Is it any different a racetrack than it was when it first opened up?
I never raced at it on the old format, or the old shape or whatever, but, you know, you can go back on Google Earth and look at how it used to look, and, he's completely reshaped it and brought in a lot of dirt, and, for lack of better wording, it's definitely a modified stock car track. It's not necessarily the most fun track I've ever raced on in a sprint car, but I'm not taking anything away from it. It's one of those tracks that's definitely suited better for modifieds and stock cars, just the layout and the shape. And you know, it doesn't get a lot of, every time we're there in the sprint cars, we lay rubber down because they don't water it a lot, because, you know, stock car guys, they don't like it. They like a hard packed track because their skinny wheels will tear it up if it's not. But you know, he does a good job up there. You never really know what you're going to get. Friday night we won from 10th Friday night, and track was pretty cowboy up, a lot of ruts. And then Saturday night, you know, it took rubber there at the end of the feature. It was real smooth and slick. So, you know, it's just kind of a deal. It's cool to go to a few times, but it's not super conducive to sprint car racing, but the stock car shows are pretty good there.
Hey, does that wall jump out pretty quick? You know, I've been told that wall, when you exit turn 4, kind of jumps out at you a little bit.
Yeah, and kind of in turn 3 too. It's the only wall he's moved is the turn 1 and 2 wall all the way down the back stretch, and then I think the turn 3 wall, the entrance of turn 3 is still where it was originally. Well, the back stretch is further out, so it's kind of a D shape now. And the turn 3 wall will jump out at you, and then you really got to pedal off of 4 because the corner, it's almost a 90-degree wall there. And turns 1 and turns 4 are the sharpest corners on the track, so you really got to pedal into those.
We were out at Valley Speedway here a couple of weeks back. I thought the racing was terrific. A lot of people talk about the facility, and we all agree with that. The best part about Valley Speedway is the racetrack itself.
It's kind of like a junkyard out there.
But the racetrack itself is awesome. Right?
Yeah, it is good. He's got that cushion that he grades all the dirt up the track and then flattens it off on the top, and a few of us like to get up there. It's been pretty bottom dominant a couple times I've been there this season, but we're going to keep going, and hopefully the top will come in because that's just, I gear for the top. I set up for the top. I'm mentally ready to run the top. I'm not good at running the bottom, so that's kind of my downfall, kind of my crutch. But that Valley's one of the places that if you're good at running the top, you're gonna win a lot of races there, and we've won quite a few there. And hopefully he can get it more top dominant later this year.
Yeah, going back to I-70 Speedway, that was your first win for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That racetrack, let me tell you something. What do you think about I-70 Speedway?
Oh, man, Casey and the track owner have come a long way in getting that place where it needs to be. We all kind of expected the first couple of races on it in 2021, I guess, to be a little rocky because, and I don't even think Casey was involved then, but it was not, the track wasn't, not that it wasn't ready, but it was definitely a lot faster. And places like Eldora and Knoxville, they slick up on purpose because the tracks are just so fast. They want to slow the cars down. There's no reason for a car to go that fast. And you just tear up a lot of cars when the track's heavy. But
right.
They've got it now where it's super hard packed. It doesn't rut up. It's nice and slick and wide. Usually, the first couple times we went there, the track wasn't super wide and it was hard to pass. But now they've just got it. Turn 4 is probably the only place that takes a little bit to widen out, but once it does, it's a great racetrack. We were throwing sliders on both ends. It was really fun.
Right. Casey Schumann has done a really good job of widening out the racetrack. Don't you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. He joked with me in Victory Lane when we won there that he wished we'd have got off of turn 4 a little higher every time. He said he's going to put some tires out there or something, make us come off higher and get the track in some workable shape. But he does a good job. It's just sometimes it's kind of a different shape for as big a track it is. It's a big old D shape, and then turn 4 is pretty tight. But if you can get turn 4 widened out, then it's going to be some good racing. And he seems to have it figured out.
I raced back there in the day when it was pavement. So I raced out there for about 20 years, just so you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Next weekend, they got the high-limit wing cars out there next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If they do that kind of track prep, what kind of a show are we going to see with the wing cars next weekend?
I've never driven a wing car, but I hope it's even wider. The 410 wing car, like we ran 360 with us last night. They ran 360s, and the track took a little bit to get wide. But I think tonight with the 410s here at Knoxville, it'll get wide quick, and I think you'll see the same thing at I-70. It's going to get pretty wide pretty quick, and that's always good because then it opens up. My favorite sprint car tracks, wing or non-wing, are where there's one groove around the top and you got to throw a slider to pass somebody. I don't think the bottom groove and the top groove have to be the same speed. I think as long as the top groove's there and you can throw sliders and cut under each other, you're going to see some good racing. And I-70 is conducive to that, and the track prep package that Casey's got is going to be conducive to that as well.
Are you planning on running any wing cars for the year?
No, not really. I've never ran a wing car, never had any desire to. Just kind of run and joke in my camp is they're the world's fastest chicken races because chickens have wings too. But I've never driven one, so it's just a joke, But I've got a pretty good non-wing package under me, and I think I don't think I'm one of those drivers that wants to spread myself too thin in a bunch of different race cars. So I think I'm just going to stick to the non-wing for a little bit, and if somebody comes along and wants me to run one for a few races in a row, and I can really work at it maybe. But right now I don't have any plans.
Yep.
What kind of a track do you think we'll see at Knoxville tonight? Like we did last night? They tried to rain there once and it held off.
Yeah. It was during the right after we wrecked it. It sprinkled pretty good, but they kept the cars out there, and it really only about a 5-minute, just sprinkle there, and it was they got it rolled in pretty good after that, and It'll be pretty good. I think it'll get wider and slower tonight with the 410s there, with the 410 wing cars. I think the track will have a lot more power on it and a lot more laps. So, because we're going to run more laps, and I'm sure the 410 wings will run more laps too. So, it's probably going to get a little slower in qualifying, be pretty wide in hot lap and heat races, and they might do a tad bit of prep work for the feature, because last year when we ran with the 410 wings, it rubbered up there at the end of the race, and then they still had to run their feature. So, but I think they got a pretty good handle on it. They know what to expect.
There's nothing worse than running in the rubber, is there?
No, it's pretty boring. It's pretty boring. We've done that a few times already this year, and haven't won in it yet, so that kind of sucks. But I'm not going to pride myself on being good in the rubber, because I don't ever want to race in it. But it's one of those deals, you want to be a well-rounded driver, you got to run in everything. But
right.
Hopefully here at Knoxville, we don't have to worry about it.
You mentioned qualifying a little bit ago. You thought you could have done better qualifying the car. How different will you approach time trials tonight?
I think I'll just the terminology I use is I just got to plug the cushion a little harder in turn 3. Usually we race at Knoxville a month later in the year, and the sun, when it comes down later in the day, it really always comes down in qualifying, and it's right above the fence, and it shines right in your eyes. We don't have to really worry about that this year, and because we're running so much earlier in the year. But I think I just got to plug the cushion a little harder. Like I said, I think I missed maybe qualifying 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th last night just because I made a dumb mistake on the cushion. And it still qualified 8th. That's pretty good. That's probably one of my better qualifying runs with USAC. But, when you only run 2 or 3 or 4 races with them a year, you're qualifying. I'm trying to get the guys around here to go to qualifying so that when I do come run these guys, I'm a lot better at it. But maybe one day, maybe somehow. But I just gotta. It's a mind game. Just got to get my mind in the right spot before I qualify.
What's that like racing with guys like Justin Grant and Brady Bacon and C.J. Leary? I mean, these guys are exceptional non-wing sprint car drivers. What's it like running with
they're
these
on
guys?
all the time. Even when their cars aren't on, they're on all the time. And you never know how bad their cars really are or how good their cars really are, because they're going to drive them as hard as they can every time. And, you just got to get in that mentality. And that's kind of the mentality I was in last night that not cost me a race car, but cost me a good run. And I had a pretty good slider battle with KTJ right before I flipped, and then the caution comes out. And then, I'm racing Xavier Doney, who I've raced 3, 4, 5 times this year. And we both had the same idea going into one, and I decided I was behind him, so I decided to shoot up the track instead, and it got me. But my confidence was up because I just passed a couple of guys that are full time with USAC, and I was feeling good. And I gotta calm myself down a little bit when that happens, because that's definitely what ate me up last night.
Xavier Doney's been kind of the guy to beat this year, hadn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely fast. He's kind of been the competition of the year. And last night, we qualified like 300ths apart. He's 7th and me 8th. 3rd in his heat, and I ran 2nd. And he started 10th in the feature, and I started 11th. And man, he shot out like a cannon on the first 15 laps. And we'd kind of started to reel him in. He'd kind of lost the group in front of him, and I was catching his group. And then the caution comes out, and I think he topped out at like 3rd or 4th, and then it ultimately ended up 6th. But it's one of those deals where I like seeing somebody from our area do good, because I know that I'm capable of that as well, hopefully.
Did you see that slider that Chase Stockin did right up in front of and Xavier got in the back, knocked the bumper off?
It was right in front of me in the staging lane, and I was like, I just kind of like looked at my dad, and I was like, "Did you see that?" And he said, "Yeah, I saw that." I mean, I'm glad Xavier didn't really, just let off and try to cut under him. You got to bump him, These guys need to know we're here and we're fast, and just because we don't race with them every week, the only reason is because we can't afford to. So, we got to show them that we're here and that we mean business.
Wesley, we can't thank you enough for joining us here on Track Talk.
What's next after tonight for you?
I don't think we have anything next weekend, especially now. We're going to kind of get our parts inventory built back up, and then war races in Iowa in a couple of weeks. We'll be there in John's number 12. And then after that, we're going to run, not sure what we're going to run after that. We ain't really, plans are kind of changing at the moment, so we'll keep everybody informed on our Facebook page.
All right. Well, we'll keep up to speed on your Facebook page, and good luck to you tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad you're okay after that tumble last night.
Kirk and I are going to be up there tonight.
Yeah,
just
we'll
so you know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I can put on a good show for you guys.
Hey, we were looking at your car there. You got the Sports Radio 810 WHB there on the side of one of your cars there. How cool is that?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. You know, that's the Brent Lewis car. He's got a pretty good sponsorship package going and a pretty good. We just got to get the car under us a little better. It's a little different chassis and shock package than we usually run, but we're getting a handle on it. And he's got some great partners on it, Wholesale Batteries and Country Kids Daycare and Sports Radio 810 on there. It's pretty cool. You know, I don't get the radio station in my area, so I don't get to listen to it. But if
we're
you're in the Kansas City area, tune into it. You know,
we're on it. We just left it.
Hey, listen, I don't know if you know that about Sports Radio 810 WHB, but it reaches 6 states, 44,000 square miles.
Well, I'm going to have to tune in down in Springfield, Missouri. Then I'm going to check it out.
Scott's been with Sports Radio 810 for over 25 years now.
Oh wow! Well, congratulations. That's a while.
Yeah, we've been on the dial for.
And Kirk's been with me for the last 24 years.
And I've been with him 12 years. So
12
we've been on the the WHB has been kind to us. So
I think you can pick it up where you live.
I'll be sure to plug you guys down in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, tune in. You can tune. I think you can pick it up in the mornings with no problem out there. And
I'm sure I could. I'll try it.
All right.
We
appreciate
good luck
it
tonight.
Hey,
Wesley.
good luck to you, Wesley.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate having me on.
All right. You appreciate you having us.
Yep.
Well, how cool is that, man?
That was really cool.
Yeah. I'm glad he's all right after last night.
Yeah, when he answered the phone right away, and I was
wild right.
And I said, hey, and he started laughing. He goes, I know. So, you know, he knew right out of the gate that everybody was worried about him. And like you said, you could read his body language in that video, because he knew exactly what he was thinking is, where the hell's the rest of my car? Like,
right.
he was missing a part of his car, but we were really glad that he was able to join us after such a
violent wreck
last night that happened to be, like you said, right on the front stretch in front of everybody. I'm sure there was a million videos of that wreck. I mean, you know, the one we saw was from Flo. We appreciate Flo giving us the video, but I mean, I can't imagine the videos on social media this morning, because they were all flying.
Right.
You know, another hard wreck last night was A.J. Johnson, who pounded the first and second turn wall and knocked the whole front end off that race car in a heat race last night. That was a wicked. There were some wicked crashes last night.
The curb was a little gnarly last night, wasn't it?
I mean, he'd even bit a couple of the 360 cars, the wing cars, last night as well. So, looking forward tonight. The only difference between last night and tonight, it's 410 wing sprint cars, along with the non-wing cars tonight. So.
I think Blake Hahn is going to run up there as well.
Yeah, running, and several guys are doing this, running 360 one night and 410 the next. Blake is doing the same. Blake had to be towed off last night. I didn't really see it. Did he get into the wall or break something in the car?
He
what
did.
Happened?
He got into the wall.
So hopefully they get things repaired and back out with their 410 ride tonight. That's first trip up to Knoxville this year for Blake, isn't it?
That was a great win for Jamie Ball last night.
Big win.
Yeah. Hadn't won in 3 years.
And the 410s have been putting on great shows up there. Chase Randall won last week. That's his first 410 win. And it was good to see Dazen Pursley. Do you see him up there in that 25 car, the Eichelberry car? We haven't seen Dazen Pursley in a wing sprint car that much. And then the next night he went up to Houston Speedway and won a feature up there. Mm-hmm. So Dazen Pursley, we're seeing him in the non-wing sprint cars. He had a great finish last night, the non-wing sprint cars, and he's been on fire here lately. Dazen Pursley in both midget. Well, he won the midget race out at Belleville a couple of weeks ago. We saw him out here at Sweet Springs have a great run out there. In the non-wing sprint car, he's been running well, and now we're seeing him in a wing sprint car. So Dazen Pursley is about as versatile a driver as we're watching right now. He's doing well in just about everything he climbs in.
Cade Dillard takes night number one of the big deal up there in Fountain City, Wisconsin at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. What'd you think about that, Kurt?
$100,000 to win tonight up at Speedway. And as you mentioned, it was Cade Dillard winning on Thursday night. That was a $5,000 to win show. And they had racing again last night up at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. And I'm trying to bring up the results. They didn't have the results up there earlier when I tried to post them up there. But tonight is the big night with the $100,000 to win feature event up there. So
yeah. Somebody posted Wayne Johnson's Facebook page says he has no plans to return to the driver's seat.
Ever? What are your thoughts about that? That injury that he had down there at Texas, that was a pretty serious injury, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I
think that's a big loss to the racing community that Wayne Johnson's not racing. What do you think about that, Kurt?
It is. He's a two-time 360 Knoxville Nationals champion. He's won a couple of times at the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial Championship. Did he ever win a championship in the ASCS?
No. No, he's a three-time champion over there.
He did win in that champ. So he's championship driver, won some big races throughout his career. I'll miss seeing Wayne out there behind the wheel of a car.
Yep, no doubt.
How old is Wayne right now? He's been at this a long time. So, yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that. And he had Seth Bergman driving his car there for a while, but then they parted ways here last week, and Seth back behind the wheel of his family race car last night, winning at Rush County Speedway last night. So, that's big news. And the other big news, Scott, and, sad news from Eldora Speedway, Jerry Gappens, the general manager at Eldora Speedway, passed away this past week. That shocked everybody. 63 years old. And Tony Stewart, he's had a pretty eventful week. They announced the shutdown of Stewart-Haas Racing at the end of the year, and now this happens. His general manager passes away.
Kirk, we're pretty lucky to be living, right?
Yeah, when people younger than us
pass away,
Scott, that's that kind of gets you. Yeah,
it's just like our old friend Lloyd Collins.
Yeah, we miss him. Wow, and Bob Reber, Rick Cabbage here, or Steve Cabbage here just a few weeks ago that I worked with up at Adams County Speedway in Corning. We lost Greg Clemens here a couple of weeks back.
Died in his sleep.
Man. Eddie Gossage, the longtime promoter at the Texas Motor Speedway, and now Jerry Gappens. That news coming out at Eldora Speedway. Pretty shocking. We saw Jerry when you and I were out at Eldora Speedway last year for the $1 million race.
Yeah,
Jerry was he looked pretty healthy and in charge of everything, and now all of a sudden he's gone. That's very sad news. I was just pulling up the results up at Mississippi Thunder Speedway from last night. The modifieds racing up there for another $5,000 to win last night. Tyler Nicely wins the feature event last night over Jake Tim, Dustin Sorensen, Mason Ziegler, Kennedy Swan, your top five. Did you see Ricky Thornton Jr. is in the field up there?
Right, yeah. Hey, I just want to say that Kelly from Central Point, Oregon, he says age has nothing to do with it.
No, you just never know. Never know when it's your time, does it?
We could kick any moment.
Sadly, that's true.
That is true.
Hey, getting back, I was looking down through some of the names that are racing up there at Mississippi Thunder Speedway for the big, what does they call that? The big thing? The big deal.
The big deal.
The big deal.
Yeah.
$100,000 to win. Bobby Pierce is in the field up there, too. So you throw in a lot of money up there. Even though this is dirt modifieds, this is going to bring out all the big players in dirt late model racing, too. There's no big events in dirt late model racing this weekend, so why not? Bobby Pierce and Ricky Thornton Jr. and some others go up there and have a crack at it tonight. I think they paid $2,500 to start that race.
What's the pay to win tonight with the 410s up there tonight? Do you know?
At where?
At Knoxville for the 410s.
I think
they only paid $2,000 last night to win.
Well, I think it's $8,000.
$8,000?
I think.
Huh.
Isn't that what they paid last week to Chase Randall for the feature?
I'm not going to say $8,000. Just I'm not going to throw that out there.
That's what they paid Chase Randall last week for winning the 410 feature up there. So I'm not really sure, but I would assume it's their normal purse that they're giving out up there tonight. So I'm not exactly sure about that, but I think it's a pretty significant amount in both the non-wing and wing cars tonight.
Right.
Your thoughts about last weekend, Kyle Larson? We talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. Do you think there's possibly a day where he's going to say, that's it for full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver and go for a more open schedule, and which would allow him to do some things that he's got on his bucket list? Because when we talked to him up there at Iowa Speedway the other day, he was asked a question. I didn't have the clip of it here, but he was asked the question about races on his bucket list that he would like to do, and his response was, it's going to be really hard for me to do some of these things if I'm a full-time Cup Series driver, because going to Le Mans or doing the little 500 at Anderson, he brought that up, those kinds of events are going to be really hard to do if he's a full-time Cup Series driver. What I'm thinking is, after his experience driving an Indy car at Indy, do you think there's a possibility he may do a full-time Indy car ride, make some money doing that, which is a lesser schedule?
I think there's a chance of that happening.
There's a lesser schedule. You don't run near as many Indy car races as you do Cup Series.
He talked about that in that interview when they came to him, and he was after he'd done all this testing with Indy, and they talked to him, and they were like, "You guys only race 6 months out of." I mean, he made a point to say, "I don't know what I would do with myself if I had that amount of time. I'm sure I'd be able to find some races that I want to knock off my bucket list." That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
And so I could see he wins another Cup championship. This dude could roll, because somebody can offer this kid some serious jack on in an IndyCar, and he could.
I think he'd do fairly well over there.
He would do well, and like you said, that'll freeze him up to allow him to race more of the other races that he wants.
But the problem with Indy cars is that you can get injured in an Indy car a lot worse than you can a Cup car.
Well, we know that.
You can get hurt in a sprint car, too.
Yeah, sprint cars are really dangerous. So, I mean, it's not like he's worried about. I think his wife even talked about it. She talked about how much that, when Kyle talks about, man, I've got a couple months off, I don't know what to do with myself. Kyle's wife says he's only got a month off. I wish we had more. I think what you'll see is
maybe the wife motivates him to get out of Cup racing.
Just if you want to keep racing, fine. We've got plenty of opportunities to race all over the other places, and Cup may not just be, as well as I do, guys. Cup is not Cup like it used to be.
It's not what it used to be.
And here's the other thing he brought up the other day. We were talking to him up there at Iowa Speedway. He's got a bigger family now. He's got 3 kids. He wants to spend more time with the family.
But the problem is with that whole theory of him leaving Cup Series, he gets paid millions of dollars to drive that car.
Absolutely.
Millions of dollars to drive that car.
Yeah.
With a talent of Kyle Larson, the talent that he has as a driver, don't you think that he is one of the most fierce competitors out there in all of Cup racing, and maybe sprint car racing as well? What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I'm thinking that the money isn't going to be as much driving an Indy car as a Cup car. I don't think that his performance at Indianapolis is going
going to
open
track
up some
numbers.
possibilities for him to be offered a full-time IndyCar ride, and that's not chump change. It's not as much as a full.
Do you think that maybe there's an opportunity for him to go over to Formula One?
Well, I
think so.
I think that might be not to race full time, but he's gonna dip his toe in it because if
why not full time?
He talked about it.
Right.
He's got a lot of bucket list race in his head that he hasn't touched, and we talked about it. Formula One, whether you like it or not, there's some giant money in Formula One.
Big time. And here's the IndyCar. His performance at Indianapolis last weekend opens that door.
That's exactly
for the
right.
Formula One teams to take a look at it and say, you know what, we've heard about this guy. He's a great driver. I'm all in now after watching him at Indianapolis. If you're some of these Formula One teams taking a look at the very best American driver that there is out there, that somebody, based on his performance in Indianapolis last weekend, is going to take a look at Kyle Larson and say, hey, you want to go try Formula One?
Kelly says, I hope he races until I'm too old to care.
Exactly.
But Kyle Larson is the type of guy that wants to check all these boxes off his bucket list, don't he?
Hey, Kelly, we really appreciate you tuning in from Central Point, Oregon. We really appreciate that.
I honestly think Kyle Larson is literally the guy that people are going to look at in the future. He'll be, like you said, our Foyt or our Andretti to this generation. You guys are a little older, but you've been watching Kyle since he was a kid, so you know. But what I'm saying is this guy here has the opportunity that other NASCAR guys or other guys that have dipped their toe into other type of racing, he's in a different, like Kirk said, if he'd had any amount of practice time, guys,
right,
with this coming off and on of pit roads at speeds, this guy had never done that. He'd only simulated that on a thing.
And he got busted for speeding.
If he hadn't got busted, I think he would have gotten a top 5 out of that.
I know he would have had a top 10 for sure. He'd have been a top 5 contender all day.
He was running 6th when that happened.
Absolutely, him and Ferrucci, Santino Ferrucci, both were running exceptional. And like you said, I think Kyle Larson, if he would get a chance to run more than, let me tell you something, you know how many eyes are on that poor kid? Like, he hadn't had a chance to dip his toe in at another Indy race. Right. This was like jumping into the biggest pool. This is jumping in the ocean to learn to swim, guys. Like,
well, he looked like he'd been out there for years out there racing that car.
It wasn't until he talked about he missed. He don't know what happened when he was paddle shifting. He missed. It dropped to third, and he didn't understand what had happened on that deal. And then he had had a problem with the coming onto pit road. I mean, those were his 2 serious problems that he had. And I don't think for a minute that if you would have had if you would have had Kyle Larson having a bit of time on the track other than simulation in a computer, he would have finished in the top 10 for sure. And you're right, Kirk. The numbers of eyes that he grew just by, he was already had a lot of names and not watching him already, right? But doing as well as he did changed things.
Right.
Because we know as well as everybody else. I mean, Kurt Busch did very well, right? I mean, back in the day when he crossed over.
Kelly says he's been following you old farts for a while and plan to as long as you keep on going. P.S. I'm an old fart too.
How about that? We're just happy to be here.
Right.
Hey, another race I was watching, I brought it up here just a couple of minutes ago. The Little 500, I'd never seen this race before, but Dirt Vision carried this for the first time. Did you watch any of that?
I didn't watch it.
That is an awesome event. They start them 3 abreast, 33 cars, start them 3 abreast on looked like not much more than a quarter-mile racetrack. It's a small racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Non-wing sprint cars on pavement, Anderson, Indiana. And Caleb Armstrong passes Dakota Armstrong, his cousin, on the final lap to win that race. Pretty awesome event, but the start of that race was pretty wild. Cody Swanson, who earlier in the day won the Hoosier 100 at IRP, finished in 3rd. Tyler Rohrig, Billy Weiss Ryan Newman was in the field, finished 6th. Logan Seavey was there, finished in 10th place. 500 laps around that racetrack. I really enjoyed watching that race. If you're a Dirt Vision subscriber, I'm sure they still have the archive up there. Go back and take a look at that. That's just one event that I've never seen even on video before. But I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and it's well worth the watch if you want to go on there and take a look at it. They had pit stops, and it's just a unique event. It's in I don't know how big a town Anderson, Indiana is. But the community all comes out. They had the pre-race ceremonies and all of that. Some woman sang Back Home in Indiana, did all of that. But they had it the night before the Indy 500. It was on Saturday night. But Dirt Vision did a great job. Rob Klepper and Dave Argerbright were the announcers on that thing. And if you're a Dirt Vision subscriber, go back.
Rob Klepper is as good as they get.
Does a great job.
Some of that video was from Chris Crone, I see. I saw some of this video. If you look up in the right there from Chris Crone. So
how about that?
We
Chris
know
Crone, our old friend from Knoxville,
providing a little video. But yeah, we're looking at some video actually from Dirt Vision. So
there shows the 3 abreast start of it.
So this is their little promotion video of the little 500.
Do they start 3 abreast?
They start 3 abreast, and you got to push these cars off. So when they've got them gridded out on the front straightaway, they've got them separated where the trucks can get in to push them. They push them off all at the same time. It takes a little while to get them all pushed off and formed for the start, but it's a unique event, and I really enjoyed watching that over the weekend. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's still on Dirt Vision, so you just have to go and click on that. You can pull up that archive.
But they, Dirt Vision does a great job with their production, value
for sure.
Like a TV event.
And we always want to thank Dirt Vision and Flow Racing for allowing us to put up their highlights as well.
Yeah.
And Start to Finish TV. All 3
Start to Finish TV as well.
And a few times Lakeside TV. But yes, all those people provide us with video, and we couldn't do this show without them. That it makes the video makes the show just a little bit better having that. And man, I tell you what, they got rained out at Lakeside last night. We had rain all day out there by my house, but it wasn't the kind of rain that was going to keep the race off. So they held off until quite late to pull that race. Well, we got a pretty good cell that came in the late afternoon, and it just dumped another. I mean, it wasn't like a ton of rain, but it never stopped until evening. So there was not a chance for them to get the race in last night, and they made the right call by pulling that when they did.
They're going to have vintage racers, late models, with the weekly divisions down on tap at Central Missouri Speedway this weekend as well.
Big night of racing down there. Right. So I'm really looking forward to next weekend, Scott, out here to I-70. That's going to be a big event with the Rudine race out here, $26,000 to win, Saturday night show. I think we're going to get a pretty good number of drivers show up for that event. I think this is going to be the biggest event at I-70 since the very first event when they had the World of Outlaws there, when they first opened up the racetrack. This is going to be the biggest event they've had since then, and I expect a big turnout of cars and
big crowd out there.
The way that Casey Schumann is prepping that racetrack, hopefully that all works out to where we see some great racing out here, but it's going to be a big deal out here.
Yep, no doubt about it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank Bob Baker, Eric Peterson, and Wesley Smith for being on the show with us today as well. And also the sound clips that Kirk got up there at Iowa Speedway from Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Brad Keselowski as well.
Todd, you keeping up with your yard with all this rain?
Yeah, I got in on it earlier last week, so I don't have to do anything today. We're good shape, man. No rain.
Hard to keep up lately, isn't it?
Well, let me tell you, I made the mistake. Well, not made the mistake. I had to add a lot. I've got a lot of land out there, guys. I've got about 2.7 acres on my little lot, so it's not like a little bitty lot like most people have.
Right.
I mean, Scott, I mean, like you said, Scott's got a little bit of a yard. He's got a riding lawnmower because he ain't going to push. I've got a giant.
I'm not going to push that hill out in front.
I've got such a big yard between my house and my stepdad and my brother. We're mowing almost 10 acres on the weekends, you know. So we have an industrial, commercial style mower, and let me tell you, I don't normally put a lot of fertilizer down in the springtime and get that, but oh my gosh, we added a lot, and man, every time it rains, it just shoots an extra 2 inches taller than it did last year. I mean, I'm mowing a lot more. So yeah, it's definitely one of those deals where you're always keeping up on. And I'm not, like I said, I'm probably not the only one. I saw guys out here already getting their mowers ready to roll this morning. So I bet they're out there. And you guys been tuning into Track Talk. I'm sure you've been getting ready before you get on that mower today. But have a good weekend. It's gonna be great today. It's going to be the best day of the week, actually. It's going to be really nice today. Get out there and do some stuff if you're here in Kansas City.
Hopefully it won't rain up there in Knoxville.
I think you'll be good. And if you're at any other track, make sure you go to a track near you. Support your local track and buy a T-shirt.
Right.
So who wins tonight, Scott? Does Justin Grant make it 2 straight, or does Brady Bacon slip in there and win the big one? He really does well at Knoxville.
I think it comes down to between Justin Grant and Brady Bacon.
Yeah.
Don't you?
And why wouldn't it? I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
It should be that way.
So we'll look forward to seeing that. And I'm also looking equally as forward to the 410 races tonight. Should have a pretty good number of cars up there for the 410, so it's going to be a big night at Knoxville.
Yep, no doubt. All right, thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
We always argue, baby, never to the end. And when it's over, you always win. Now I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm worrying. I got the nerve, so baby, where you been? I let you live, but you let me go.